Welcome everybody. It is Monday Night Chat with SK. And I'm SK. And tonight's conversation is going to be about attachment styles. For the month of February, I focused a lot on relationship building, behaviors in regards to relationships, just different things that will help us as individuals, as adults, as human beings, have better relationships, better interpersonal relationships, whether that's with a romantic partner, with a family or a child, in parenting. Because a lot of these things, although we focus on adults and maybe romantic relationships, a lot of these different tools and skills and beliefs and perspectives can be used in every facet of your life. It can be used in your relationships with your employers or your coworkers. It can be used, like I said, in your romantic relationships. It can be used in your parenting style. It can be used in your relationships with platonic friends. And so when you know how you operate in relationship and you know how you would like to receive information and connection in relationships, you can build better connections with individuals. And then you learn things about yourself, where there are some gaps or there's some work that needs to be done in order to heal so that you can have better relationships, right? So that's the accountability piece of knowing this information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 4 attachment styles that has been studied through different organizations, Psychology Today. You can find it on, if you go on the internet, you can find different articles about different psychologists who have done studies on the 4 attachment styles and how it is something that's really interesting to know about yourself and how it is developed and how it evolutionized from your birth until your adulthood. So the 4 major attachment styles are avoidant, disorganized, ambivalent, and secure. Now, a lot of us know the word secure. We've heard the word secure, we've heard the word insecure, and the activities or the behavior, the understanding behind secure is correct, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these different attachment styles and its characteristics, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how it shows up in different areas of your life. So let's get started. So we're going to start with, I'm not going to start with secure because, like I said, that's something that most people connect with, right? Well, most people say, oh, I'm secure or I'm insecure. So I want to give a different perspective, new information to use, right? So I'm going to start with avoidant. So according to the studies that I've done, avoidant, so there's a couple of avoidance. You have dismissive avoidant and you have fearful avoidant, disorganized. So I'm going to read the characteristics of fearful avoidant, disorganized. So someone who experiences attachment style of fearful avoidant or disorganized is usually insecure, highly anxious, sometimes wants intimacy and other times not. Trigger responses vary. That means, who knows what's going to trigger this person to have them upset or feeling anxious or feeling fearful. Chronic survival mode. This person is always in survival mode. This person is always trying to protect themselves. They're trying to put in place things to keep themselves from harm because they're constantly fearful of something happening to them getting hurt. There's a push-pull dynamic about them, where push-pull means it's like they'll give a little and then they'll take a little. They'll give a little and they'll take a little. And so you never really have stability with this person because they're giving and taking, giving and taking. And so whereas sometimes they're giving themselves to you, they're also avoiding and taking themselves away. They won't give you feel themselves 100%. Confused about love. This is someone who is not sure about love, not sure how they feel about love, not sure what love is for them, what it looks like, what are some of the behaviors, the characteristics of love. They don't know. They're confused. Like they may have the emotions. Like, of course, you're a human being, you feel emotion, but they're not sure if that's love, right? So this person is confused about love. This person also downplays relationship. This person may very well be in love, but because they have this fear of maybe getting hurt or maybe being abandoned or rejected, they downplay relationships and they don't celebrate relationships that may be valuable to them because they're afraid. So they downplay the relationships that they're in. And they have trouble feeling emotions. So even though you want to say everybody feels hurt or everybody feels sad or everybody feels happy, there are some people that have this disorganized thought, so they don't really connect their experience to an emotion. So they're just operating on whatever's happening in the moment, and they may not say, oh, I'm happy or I'm sad or I'm depressed or whatever have you. They're just acting on that moment and they're not connecting it to an actual emotion. So it's very confused and that hence disorganized because you can't predict anything about them. You can't sense anything about them or understand who they are. So they're fearful, they're avoidant. So they're avoiding contact, they're avoiding commitment because they're unsure, which makes them very disorganized. Other characteristics of a fearful, avoidant, disorganized person: they have trust issues and they maintain distance from others. So this person also is inconsistent in parent. Wait, no, let me take that back. Say that. Their parents were inconsistent and intimate relationships felt confusing to them. They had a hard time feeling worthy, and they had a tendency towards aggressive or antisocial behavior. So they were aggressive and they're antisocial, right? These are the characteristics of a person who has a disorganized attachment style. Okay? And this what this subject means in relation to attachment, just meaning how you connect, how you build relationship with people or not, right? So that's the disorganized person. And just to give a little bit more information, the person who's disorganized is usually angry, depressed, not following direction, have a short fuse, is difficult, and has a difficult time making friends. So this is someone that has a difficult time making friends because they're always being aggressive or they're always on attack mode. So if you are this person, or if you know someone like that, this is because they have a disorganized attachment style. Okay? Now, we're going to go into one of the other attachment styles, which is anxious or preoccupied, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go through some of the behaviors and some of the things in which someone with a anxious, preoccupied attachment style would experience, right? So an anxious, preoccupied attachment style is a person who, again, is insecure, has high anxiety, so fearful, fears abandonment. They fear relationships ending, or they fear people dying, or they're fearing disconnection. So this is someone who fears abandonment. Their triggers Their trigger response is to freeze, right? So they don't act, they don't do anything about it. They just disconnect when they feel triggered, or when something's bothering them. They just freeze up. They don't communicate. They don't do it. They don't take any action. This person is also afraid to be alone. So this person doesn't want to be alone. This person fears abandonment, fears being alone, and because of this fear, they become very anxious. They have their chronic survival mode. So this is also someone who's always in survival mode, trying to create ways to prevent that abandonment or rejection. So they're always on survival mode. This person is also preoccupied in relationships, right? So this person is usually so preoccupied, so bullseye focused on keeping people around, that they're not present in the relationships they're having. They're just trying so hard to keep the people that they have connected with them around. So they're not present. They're not being loving or caring. They're just so focused on that fear of abandonment or being alone. This person can also become codependent. And we know codependency is not a great thing to have. Codependency can be a little bit unhealthy, at a certain spectrum, right? I think we all have some sense of codependency. But when it becomes something that is affecting your relationships or people you connect with, then it becomes a problem. Other ways an anxious, preoccupied person would also behave is they want to be extremely emotionally close with others, but they fear that they're going to be abandoned. So although they want that intimacy, they want that love, and they want that closeness, they're often afraid that these people that they build these connections with will leave them. So they're anxious and they're fearful, and they're, grabbing on to the folks that they are connected to and they love, because they're fearing that this person will leave them. So this is a person who has anxious attachment style. This is also a person who they would call ambivalent. This is someone who had limited parental availability. This is also a person who felt distressed when left, craved closeness in relationships, but struggled to trust, needs constant reassurance from partners. So this is someone who needs their partner to reassure them that they're not going anywhere, that they love them, that they care for them. So someone with an ambivalent or anxious attachment style will need that reassurance. They need that person to constantly tell them, I'm here, I love you, I care about you, I'm with you, in order to feel some sense of safety. But oftentimes without the, work, it doesn't help. It just continues to fall flat because they still have this fear. And again, they have these strong feelings of anxiety, and jealousy can also be common, right? So this is someone with an anxious or preoccupied or ambivalent attachment style. The anxious, preoccupied person is feels fear and worry, has a negative self view. So they look at themselves very poorly. They have a negative self view. They have a positive view of others. So they have some type of expectations of, or they think other people are worthy of love and care, but they don't think that of themselves, right? So someone with an anxious, preoccupied attachment style is someone who, has low self-esteem, but oftentimes, maybe puts other people on a pedestal, and put themselves down. This attachment style connects to a person who desires emotional intimacy. They need that I love you, I care about you, that emotional connection is what they crave. But they may feel unworthy of the love, right? Although they're craving it, when it's bestowed upon them, they feel unworthy of the love, you know? So they're constantly worried because they're this idea of, okay, I want this love, but I really don't deserve it, can be confusing for someone who's in a relationship with them. They're like, okay, wait, you told me you want love, I gave you love, but you telling me you're not worthy, or you do things to self-sabotage. That can happen too. People can self-sabotage. They can find a loving relationship. This person is doting upon on them. This person is giving them the emotional love, but because of how they operate in this information and this worry, they don't receive the love, and then it becomes a conflict. They seek attention and approval. They always need someone to say, "You're doing a good job." They need to be noticed in the room. They need to be acknowledged. So someone with this attachment style would be someone who would feel lonely in a crowded room, especially if no one's entertaining them or talking to them, or they're not getting the level of attention that they feel should be given, or that someone else is getting, right? So that's someone who has an anxious attachment style. And, I'm going to share all this information, but we're going to wheel it back because it's all about, on Monday Night Chat, it's all about knowledge and growth. So we talk about these things to figure out, how do we grow, right? So it sounds a little daunting and, a little sad and depressing, but I just stay with me so that we can unpack this information, build some awareness, and then figure out, how do we grow? How do we heal from these things, right? So stay with me. So now we have the dismissive avoidant. So the dismissive avoidant, or the avoidant attachment style is, no, we did the dismissive avoidant. So we did disorganized, dismissive, avoidant, right? So dismissive avoidant, I guess we did not. Dismissive avoidant is someone who also displays insecurities, is also highly anxious, wants intimacy but afraid, right? Trigger responses to freeze, fight or flight, freeze or flight, right? They're either freeze up and not say anything, or they'll run away, right, from the relationship or the situation. They're also in chronic survival mode and doesn't trust easily. So they're not someone that's just going to trust right away, right? They're going to consistently be like, look out for signs of you doing something, or some type of dishonesty. They're not going to trust you right away. But the beauty of this is that it says doesn't trust easily, so there's room for trust. It just doesn't come easily with this person with this attachment style. They need time, they need evidence that this is a safe space, right? And understandably, right? An individual with this attachment style builds walls, so they have walls up. You can't penetrate it very easily. They need evidence to show that this is a safe space, so they have these walls up to keep emotional connection out, to keep relationships out. They have these walls up, right? Then you have they're ultra dependent. So they're the people that say, I don't need nobody, I can do it by myself, I'm independent, I do everything by myself, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, okay. And this is something I've said before. We need each other. We need each other. Some of us are afraid to say that out of fear of not getting our needs met, but we need each other. And, somebody got to cook and somebody got to eat, right? Somebody got to build the houses and somebody got to live in them. So we can't exist without each other, without community, without society. So the reality is we need each other, right? We can't make babies by ourselves. We can't just wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I want to make a baby. So well, let me take that back. You still need a doctor. Either way, you need somebody, right? And so this person also can be dismissive. So this person can, come off a little stoic or dismissive, and again can cause this wall between this emotional connection with anyone that they're trying to build a relationship with. So this is someone who is a dismissive and avoidant. So let me recap because I got a little confused myself. We talked about fearful, avoidant, disorganized attachment style. We talked about anxious, preoccupied attachment style. And now we're talking about dismissive, avoidant attachment styles. The other thing about a person who has the avoidant attachment style, it is very important that they feel independent and self-sufficient. Again, that same, I do it by myself, can no nobody gotta do nothing for me. I'm on my own, bop, 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 and that shows like some type of a wall up for connection and community, right? So so there's more information. Where's the more information? There's more information about this attachment style before I move on. Okay. The avoidant attachment style, or person who experiences avoidant attachment style, growing up had an abusive or neglectful caregiver, no preference for parental presence, independent, patterns of withdrawal, tendency to minimize the feelings of others, and preference for casual relationships. So this is someone who's not looking for commitment or marriage even, or something like that. So this is someone who, shows up and, they'll be around for, the casual connection, but once it gets serious, they ready to go, right? And this is because of this is their experience and this is their attachment style. This is how they've been introduced into interpersonal relationships. And we're going to get more into that in a second, right? So now that we've talked about those, we're going to talk about the secure attachment style. Now, like I said in the beginning, everybody says, I'm secure. I love me. I look in the mirror every morning. I say, you so beautiful, girl. And I say affirmations to myself, or, everybody says, oh, I'm creating boundaries for myself and I love me, And I'm not saying that there are not some secure people out in the world. And I'm also not saying if some of this stuff, because I believe that none of it is full, right? I don't believe that someone is just all something. I think that when you think of these different behaviors or, okay, I guess you can say labels or studies around human behavior, I think anybody can be on a spectrum of something. Someone could be a little bit avoidant, a little bit secure, a little bit dismissive, a little bit, So I believe that there's variations within these things. There's no hard lines on anything. I think any of these things, when it comes to like these spectrums or different styles or behaviors and thoughts and mind, all these things, there is a line, a blurred line where things can be interconnected, right? So I'm clear on that. But when reading about the secure person, what we're thinking, oh, this person is on point, this person loves themselves, this person had a beautiful life, and all these different things. And I think we all aspire to be secure, right? No one wants to admit or be insecure, right? This happens over time. This happens from unmet needs. This happens from disappointment. This happens from, a lot of different things can contribute to you being triggered and feeling insecure in whatever way, whether it's a relationship or a career or parenting, whatever. There are things that happen in our lives that connect us to or trigger us to believe certain things about ourselves, right? But when we're in connection with these thoughts, when we know what's happening, we get to heal and move on. So now let me give secure attachment styles the floor, okay? So when talking about a secure attachment style person or a person who experienced attachment styles, we're talking about a person who trusts others. We're talking about a person that has a healthy view of themselves. We're talking about a person that speaks, wants, and needs easily. So they're able to communicate what they want out of life or what they want from others. They're able to say, without a doubt, I need love. I need support. I need financial assistance. I need, a job, or whatever it is that they need, they're able to communicate and speak about their needs and wants with confidence, right? A person with this attachment style can attune to emotions. They are attuned with themselves. They are connected with it if they're happy. They're connected with when they're sad. They're connected when they're angry because they are attuned with their emotion. This person is interdependent. This person they're not codependent, or they're not, um they're not someone who, uh feels the need to be there for everybody. This person has a balance, right? Because they're able to communicate their needs, so they get something for themselves as well as being service to others. They have a balance, right? They're not just taking, or giving, right? They have a balance. This person has a good self-esteem, and I would say a healthy self-esteem, right? It's good to have a healthy self-esteem. I don't think self-esteem is bad or good. I think when you grow and learn how to have an esteem, you can have a healthy one with the right support and tools and understanding and connection, and just positive energy and reinforcement about who you are, can help you to have a healthier self-esteem, right? Better self-talk, more words, better vocabulary, better, interpersonal relationships. These are the things that build healthy self-esteem. But if you're constantly in environments that chip off at who you are as a person, that consistently puts you down, that makes you feel inadequate, or things are never working out, or whatever it is that's going on that's chipping at who you are and your self-esteem, it can be difficult to have a healthy or good self-esteem. But it's possible, right? Not triggered easily. This doesn't mean that the secure person doesn't get triggered. It just means they're not triggered easily. Like everything, they don't take everything so personal that it affects them in a way that takes them off course. They can take whatever situation or conflict that happens at full value and decide how to react. And they honor their emotions. If something made them upset, it made them upset. And they're okay, and it's okay to be upset if something made you upset, right? I'm not saying, oh, somebody made you upset, well, just get over it, because life goes on. Like, no, honor your feelings. If you are upset, honor your feelings. Like, you know what, I'm upset right now, I'm angry right now, and and process that emotion. Where it gets a little tricky is when we get excuse me, when we get upset or when we get angry, our reaction to those emotions are what causes the conflict. Do we lash out? Do we yell? Do we scream? Do we fight? Do we, what do we do when we're angry, right? Do we suppress it? Do we find ways to communicate? Do we share that we're angry? Or do we hold it in? Or do we get vindictive and I'm going to get you later? Or hold grudges, or whatever it is that we do? It is the action behind the feeling, not the feeling, that's the problem. Okay? This person, if triggered, can manage their emotional response. Just like I said, they know how to say, look, I'm upset, or even happy. I don't want to harbor on anger or sadness. When they're happy, they know how to say, you know what, I'm really excited about what's going on in my life right now. I'm really excited about this experience. You know what, I'm in love. I'm feeling love. I'm excited about love. They're able to communicate their emotions. They're able to manage their emotions and have a I wouldn't say proper response, but a healthy response to those emotions. And that is what a person with a secure attachment style, these are the behaviors and characteristics of them. Some more information about the secure person is, it's a little hard thing. I'm going to show you my notes that I'm working on. So, says I don't worry about being abandoned or about someone getting too close to me. So they're not worried about anyone leaving them, and they're also not afraid of connection. So there's a balance there. There's that energy of I can be present. I can be when you are secure like that, you can be present in your relationships, and you can communicate anger, fear, sadness, because you're managing your emotions and you're realizing, okay, I'm having these feelings, honoring those feelings, and assigning the proper action towards those feelings, right? And that's what a secure attachment style does. Also, in a secure attachment style, there's feelings of comfort and trust, positive self-view. So how they view themselves is positive, and a positive view of others. So not only do they view themselves in a good light, they view others in a good light. That's what helps build trust. That's how you experience trust. That's how you show trust. When you can view someone, you think the best of others, and you also think the best of yourself. You know your worth and your value in this world, and you make a decision that because you value yourself, you're able to see the things that work for you and see the things that don't. But you also don't go out searching for people to treat you poorly. You're like, oh, I'm building trust. Here's trust, right? I think people, when you meet someone, I feel honestly, and this is what I feel. Some people think, so I although I believe in growth, although I do believe that when you meet people, it's important to get to know them, to build the connection. But my first thought is not, this person is going to hurt me, or this person is going to do something bad to me, or this person is going to rob me. My first thought is like, oh, I like this person. I'm connected to this person. Wow, I think the best of them. When they do something which gives me information, gives me feedback about their behavior and their personality, then it kind of chips at my trust for them, right? And so, and some people view it differently. Some people don't trust nobody at all. Like, you got to prove yourself. You got to run marathons. You got to build a house or something to prove to them that you're worthy. We all are different in how we connect with trust or how we build relationships. The other thing that a secure attachment person, or a person who experiences secure attachment style, they are comfortable with closeness. They are emotionally involved. They can be dependent upon, and they depend on others. Balance. You see that? Balance. They're not codependent. They're not expecting everybody to fill them up or meet their needs. There's a balance. They know that they may have needs that need to be met, but they're also in service, right? So that's what a secure person, those are behaviors and characteristics. And so, to follow the same structure, when thinking about how this person was raised, or how they came, what was the origin of how they became secure, because our first relationship is with our parents and our siblings and our grandparents, or whoever our caregivers were, right? A secure person had a healthy relationship with their primary caregiver. They also showed appropriate distress when left alone. So this is a baby or a child that was able to be left alone, and they were able to self-soothe, right? They didn't need a lot of coddling. They didn't need a lot of pacifiers and all this thing. This is a baby or a child that felt secure in their environment, and so they were able to self-soothe. So when mommy or daddy or whoever their caregiver was walked out the room or was not in their immediate space, they didn't react because they felt safe in their environment. They knew without a doubt, with trust, that person, that caregiver, was coming back because that caregiver was consistent with them, right? I know that they may be walking out the room, and this is a baby. People sleep on the cognitive abilities of babies. This is a baby now. The baby is in the crib. Mommy, daddy walk out the room. Baby just sit there and coo and do whatever, because baby know mommy and daddy, if needed, are coming back. And that's the security that baby has. Able to seek support in relationships. So this is important. When you're able to communicate your emotions, when you're able to manage your emotions, you're able to communicate what it is that you need, right? So they seek support in relationships. They seek that information. They seek that support from the person they're connected with. Can regulate emotions and manage conflict in close relationships. Conflict is gonna happen, people. Conflict is gonna happen. I'm sorry that I have to tell you this, but conflict is gonna happen. You are not gonna be in agreement with everybody you encounter all the time. Conflict is going to happen. It is the action behind the emotion that decides how those conflicts are going to be resolved and managed. Do you have a healthy perspective around your emotions? Do you honor your emotions? Do you sell out on yourself? When you're angry, you like, nothing wrong, I'm good. Or do you say, you know what you said really hurt my feelings, and I really want to address it, and I didn't appreciate when you said XYZ because I felt. And when you say that somebody said something to you, it is important, or did something to you, it is important to be able to tell that person what came up for you. Because just because you said, oh, you were late for dinner, that made me upset, doesn't mean that person understands where the conflict is. Okay, I was late. They're like, I'm here. That's what they're going to say. But when you're able to connect with your emotions, you can say, when you were late for dinner, it made me feel it made me feel inadequate. It made me feel less than, it made me feel devalued. It made me feel less of a person. It made me feel unloved, right? Or whatever came up for you. It made me feel disrespected. It made me feel sad. It made me feel unworthy. Because you can't just say, oh, you were late and I'm upset. Okay. Most people will just dismiss that, unfortunately. But when we get better at saying, you did X, and because you did X, I feel Y. And why do I feel Y? Because da da da. This is what came up for me. This is what that action or that behavior or that thing that you did made me feel this, or made me experience this, or what the messages I received from your actions were this, right? And that's the way you communicate through conflict. And when you're a secure person, or a person who experiences secure attachment style, you have the ability to do that. You are working through that, right? You are deciding, oh, wow, okay, these are my emotions, and this time I'm going to communicate how I feel, right? So those are the 4 attachment styles. Now, I'm not gonna, doing the research, I think I just kept flopping every time I read something. I was like, maybe that's me. But like I said, there's no bold lines in these things. There are no, clear lines in any of this. You can experience interchangeable these things, right? But with self-awareness, you can start to heal. And so what time is it? Oh yeah, we can get into that. So, and thank you guys for listening into this conversation, because I don't know if y'all can tell, I'm really passionate about this. And I did a lot of work to try to prepare for this tonight. So there is healing, right? Or there is a way to change your attachment style so that it's healthier one, a more secure one, a more trusting and compassionate attachment style. Yes, we were raised a certain way. Yes, we were parented a certain way. And because of this, there are certain messages that kind of trigger us with certain behaviors. If something looks and sounds similar to that behavior, or bring up that emotion that you felt growing up, or whatever have you, yes, it can cause some type of discourse within you because of your attachment style, because of the way you were introduced to interpersonal relationships. But with new information, you get to grow and transcend, right? So Psychology Today says that if you follow these following things, or you practice these things, it can help you to shift and change your attachment style. And the list goes on. There's about 8 things, or 8 suggestions that they have. Like, you can create your own. Again, none of this is, I don't believe in fact. I believe that everything can evolve, right? And so this is just information or suggestions given by psychologists on Psychology Today. And they said that you can heal, you can start to shift your attachment style by healing shame and raise your self-esteem. This enables you to not take things personally. So that means start to address those things that you feel ashamed of, right? Some of those things that are in your past that happened, they're not happening, they've happened, right? Address them and acknowledge, right? You can take some accountability, but don't hold on to shame. Because shame, what it does is eats at your self-esteem. It breaks you down, right? And no mistake in this world could ever make you be less than anybody. You know, if you're a Christian, you know that God forgives all, right? And with repentance, there shall be forgiveness, right? And if you're not a Christian, because I respect everyone's belief, I respect everyone's position in this world. If you're not, just know that holding on to shame doesn't make you good or bad. You hold on to that shame, it's not going to change the thing that happened. It's not going to change what experience you had. Have some grace for yourself. Forgive yourself and let that shame go so you can live freely. So letting go of shame or heal your shame, right? So that you can raise your self-esteem. And again, this will enable you to not take things personally, because sometimes we get irritable or irritated or upset because we think that everybody else knows or everybody else feels the same way we feel about us. And that's shame. You feel ashamed of yourself because of XYZ. You swear that someone is looking through a window into your life and knowing what you did and judging you. So every little thing they say to you, you're judging me, you going off the handle. Um, if you heal that shame, when somebody does say something offensive to you, you can acknowledge that it hurt your feelings, but you can also react in a way that supports you and doesn't re-injure you. And allow you to get, like, it's almost like it's a snowball of shame. Like, you got this ball of shame, you're in an environment of people, and every time somebody says something to you, your shame ball gets bigger and bigger. Heal your shame. I will probably talk about, because I've experienced that myself and had to go through steps to chip at things that made me shameful or hurt my feelings because I was ashamed of a mistake I made and I swore everybody knew, and I felt like people was creating a narrative of me. So I would get so irritated by anything somebody said that even attested to or sound like they knew what I had done or been through or experienced, right? Learn to be assertive. How being assertive will help you is with communicating your feelings. Don't let somebody hurt your feelings and then wait a week later, be like, they do something else, or people are infamous for this. They will be in a relationship or whatever kind of ship, siblingship, any relationship you're in, and people will do things. So they call it a micro. When we talk about microaggressions, we talk about microaggressions as like being mosquito bites. So every time somebody hurts your feelings, it's a mosquito bite. So some people will let people hurt their feelings, right? They won't say anything. Mosquito bite, mosquito bite, mosquito bite. So now they got all these mosquito bites until one day they have so many mosquito bites they can't take it anymore, and they blow up and they start talking about all the mosquito bites you did. Oh, you bit me here because of this. You bit me here this day. You bit me here on this. And in that moment, even though you're expressing all the things that were done to you, it's not a healthy conversation, because now I'm sure that person can't even process all the things that happened, and they thought they were operating, that you were okay with it because you never said anything. So address it, be assertive in that moment. Even if in that moment you're like, you know what, right now I can't do this. Don't let 72 hours go by. I say that's the cutoff. At 72 hours, you need to be able to get on the phone with friend or boyfriend or husband or wife or whoever. And you need to be able to say, you know what, I need to have a conversation with you. And in the momentum where we say clear, we say, can I clear with you? And when you clear with somebody, or when you talk to somebody about what happened, try to use I statements like, I felt disrespected, or I felt sad, or I felt whatever you feel when you, whatever they did, right? Um, because then you hold yourself accountable to your feelings, but you hold them accountable to their action, because they're not accountable to your feelings. They're not in control of your feelings. Their actions made you feel a way, but they're not in control of your feelings, right? Those are yours, right? I feel such and such when you did XYZ. Be assertive, address it. A lot of times we don't address things because of our attachment style. We're afraid that if we speak up for ourselves, that person is going to leave us. That person is going to abandon us. That person is not going to like us anymore. You never know. Maybe addressing it will make you have a stronger relationship, because now this person knows how to approach you, how to connect with you, how to be respectful towards you. They know your boundaries. They know how to connect with you. They know what makes you mad. They know what doesn't. You know, my famous saying, when somebody does something to hurt me, I'm like, they really burnt my biscuits. You know, I don't like my biscuits burnt. I don't like burnt biscuits. So it's a great connection to how I feel when somebody hurts my feelings. But be assertive. Talk about your feelings. Talk about your hurt, so that people are clear on how not to hurt you. If you're not clear on what hurts you, how do people know how not to hurt you? Right? So be assertive. Learn to identify and honor assertively, express your emotional needs. Okay, I beat the list. Basically what I said, right? Learn how to identify and honor your feelings. I know the word honor and feelings probably have never been heard in the same sentence, but it's important to honor those feelings. Honor your feelings. These are your feelings. Respect them. Respect them. They are yours. And you are worthy of having them, whatever they are. You are worthy of your anger. You are worthy of your sadness. You are worthy of your happiness. You are worthy of your, whatever emotion. Those are your feelings, and you matter. So honor those feelings, and act accordingly and respectfully to them, right? And secure yourself and protect yourself, but protect yourself in a way where you're being assertive, you're communicating your feelings, you're honoring how you felt. Don't dumb it down like, oh, I'm not upset, it's all good. No, be upset, you upset, it's not all good, right? And you don't got to get all angry and emotional like I am right now, but honor your feelings, right? Practice acceptance of yourself and others to become less fault finding. A tall order for codependent and distancers. So, someone who is avoidant, or someone who is dismissive avoidant, these are individuals that are looking for you to mess up, right? So if you're someone who's looking for somebody to mess up, healing comes from practicing acceptance for yourself. So just like the first one said, heal your shame. Practice acceptance for yourself, accept who you are, right? And others, right? Meet people where they are. That doesn't mean let people walk all over you. Take an evaluation of who people are, right? Because the I want to say the interesting part of it is a lot of us still need healing, right? And just because you're doing the work, that doesn't mean everybody around you is doing the work. So if let's say you're in therapy, say you're connecting with who you are, say you're doing mindfulness, you're doing yoga, you're doing meditation, you're being grounded, you're being assertive, like you're practicing all of this, and you encounter someone who hasn't done the work, they're still stuck in their attachment style. Don't be like, oh, well, you know what? Be like, you know what? I acknowledge that I may be doing the work, and this person is probably still attached to their attachment style. Find a way to both honor your feelings and acknowledge that this person may not be there, and say to yourself, right? with empathy, is their intention to hurt me? Or is this a projection? Or do they lack the skills or the ability to communicate to me differently? Right? And therefore, they're behaving or acting out in this way. Right? This is where you get to show your growth and how you say modeling the things that you learn in these conflicts, where you have to then accept someone and try not to fault find. I was thinking to myself today, I was like, sometimes the difference between me and other people is I don't look for someone to blame in a situation. I'm looking for the solution for healing. We already know who did it, right? So what's the point of like, oh, you did it, you did it. Okay, we know who the person is that did it. What's the point of like blaming them? What's the point of like harboring on who did it? Focus on where's the healing in this? Where's the solution? How do we grow? How do we move past this? How do we prevent this from happening again, whatever it is? Because we already know who did it. What is the next step? What is the plan of action to move forward? Right? This is difficult. It's difficult because some people will hurt you so bad. Some people will hurt you and disappoint you and betray you in ways that you can't even come to terms with. And, we're talking about this in like a very relaxed way, but it's difficult to do these things. And I don't think that anyone's going to walk away from Monday Night Chat and just go around and make all these beautiful relationships, although that's my hope. But the reality is it goes with time. So I say, it says less fault finding. Doesn't mean go cold turkey with the fault finding. It says less fault finding. So that means kind of like take it easy, take a deep breath and like, you know what? Let's not harbor on that. Let's figure out how we can create a solution or prevent this from happening again. Prevention is better than cure. Let's not have to always fix the problem. Let's figure out ways how we can prevent the problem from happening in the first place, right? It says stop reacting. Now that seems a little unreasonable, right? Because we're going to react. It says this can be a challenge because our nervous system is used to reacting automatically. It often entails being able to identify your triggers, unhook what causes them. Again, knowing who you are, connecting with who you are, your attachment style, your triggers, what burns your biscuits, right? I know the things that burn my biscuits, but what burns your biscuits so that you can start identifying, okay, you know what? So one of the things that burns my biscuits is when someone talks about my weight. Growing up, I was very thin. I was very thin most of my life, very, very small girl. And constantly people would talk about that. Oh, you're so skinny. Oh, you're so skinny. Oh, you're so skinny. Oh, you're so skinny. And it became almost like a second language. Instead of saying hello, people are like, oh, you're so skinny, right? And we do it to each other all the time. And people don't say, hi, how you doing? How's everything? It's, why your hair so long? Why your hair so short? Why you so skinny? Why you so fat? Why you not married? Where them babies at? Like, we forgot how to greet each other and connect, right? So anyway, one of my pet peeves is when I walk in a room and instead of people saying hello to me, they start talking about my weight. So as a young girl, it was you're so skinny. Now as an adult, after having children and eating it down, eating food like I want to, hormonal changes or whatever is going on, aging, maybe even some poor habits, I gain weight, right? So now it's when I'm walking around, oh girl, you gain weight, you getting fat. It's like, you know what I did today? I worked. I have a career. I'm advancing in my career. I'm going to school. I have talents. I have, I'm not just a body that has gained weight or not, right? So I would get really upset about that. And then I started to, and I'm not gonna say it doesn't still burn my biscuits. I stopped reacting to it, right? Or if I react, I'll throw it back at the person like, well, you ain't no spring chicken yourself, or, I ain't see you in a two-piece, you know, you know, just to like kind of like break the cycle of these angry things, and to help me not burn my biscuits, or have make my day bad, right? Because sometimes people can say things that hurt your feeling, and it can mess up your whole day, because now you're irritated, you're ruminating on the thoughts, you're second guessing yourself, or you're beating yourself up, or your insecurity is showing up. And so being able to acknowledge your triggers, support yourself, and try not to react in a way that's not going to support you, or that's going to ruin your day. That this is about self growth, right? This is about self help, right? In community, right? Because we each making a contribution. I was also thinking today, I was like, people forget that we have to focus with, enough people that be like, I don't worry about nothing but what's going on in my house. I don't think that's true. Because unless you never leave your house, you have to worry about everything else. You are at work, so what contributions are you making at work? You are a commute. If you're a commuter, what contributions are you making as you commute? When you're driving, what kind of contributions you're making when you're on the road? If you're a parent, what contributions are you making as a parent? What are your children? What kind of contributions are your children making? So you can't just worry about what's going on in your house. Consistently, you should be thinking about how you're showing up in these spaces that you are involved in church. What kind of contributions are you making in church? What type of legacy are you leaving behind? What kind of connections are you leaving? How are you connecting with people? You can't just worry about what's in your house. You can't just worry about you. I'm sorry. And this is not about being nosy and being all in people's business. That's different. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you really focusing and evaluating what are your interactions like? When people walk away from you, do they be like, do they have a bad experience with you, or do they have a good experience with you? Do you make their day? Do you make them feel loved and supported and happy? What are you contributing, right? So think about those things and work on how you're going to react, right? And acknowledge when your triggers are coming up and somebody burnt your biscuits and you want to go off. Learn to self-soothe. Woo-wee. Learn to self-soothe. It is not always someone is going to come and say, I'm sorry for what I did to you. I apologize that I hurt your feelings. Do you want a hug? No, that's not gonna happen all the time. Right? Because again, we're talking about the fact that we're meeting people where they are, and some people may burn your biscuits or irritate you or frustrate you, and now you're left with your feelings, right? Even after being assertive and telling someone how you felt, you can still feel anger, you can still feel sadness. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to be angry and mess up again your whole day? Find ways to self-soothe. You know what? That person irritated me, but you know what? I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths. You know what? I'm going to get me a cup of tea. You know what? I'm going to go for a walk. You know what? I'm just going to go to sleep. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to just sleep on it. Find ways to self-soothe. Don't depend on anyone to soothe your emotions, because it may not happen, and then you're going to be left betrayed or hurt or feeling empty, right? Find ways to refill yourself when someone takes from you, right? If that's lighting a candle, if that's doing some yoga, if that's doing 10 jumping jacks, if that's taking a nap, that cuddling with your cat, or playing with your dog, whatever it is that helps you find that get you back balance, right? After you get tipped over, that thing that helps you get back here. Find that thing, right? And it's not the same for everybody. Some people, there's different things that can find, like, you guys are gonna probably cringe to this. So I'm learning about harm reduction, right? And that, sometimes people are not suicidal, but they may cut themselves, or they may burn themselves when they're stressed or upset. And what we learned in harm reduction is to help the person shift the self-harm by helping them create healthier ways to experience the sensation, right? So instead of them burning themselves, maybe they get tattoos or they do piercings or they have a rubber band they pop themselves because they're looking for the sensation. They're not necessarily really looking to hurt themselves. They're looking for that pain or that sensation to their skin or their body that helps to soothe or distract them from whatever emotional pain they're going through. And when I heard this, I was like, oh, wait. I was a little like baffled, but in my, in the work that I do, these are some of the conversations that, although in our mind, especially when we love and care about somebody, we want them to just be better. We want them to stop doing whatever harmful thing that they're doing. I don't know if you guys know this. Harm reduction also can show up in different ways for substance users. Whereas they have places where you can get clean needles, or they even have a hotline that you can call to, it's called Never Use Alone, where someone who is not yet ready to recover can talk on the phone with someone while they're using to ensure that this person doesn't overdose or hurt themselves because they're not ready to recover. They haven't taken that step. This is just a small step in create safety, because the goal, and a lot of this is different for me too. I'm trying to process this new information, but the goal is not so much to stop people from using. The goal is to keep them alive, right? Alive long enough so that they can make a decision to recover. But if they don't have a safe space to go through their experience, they could end up in a lot of harm and even kill themselves, right? So I know, mind blown, but this is where we are in the world, where there's more compassion and empathy to help support healing and recovery. So just a little tidbit of information for y'all on that. So find ways to self-soothe. And it also suggests that you find YouTube exercises or read tips on self-nurturing. So figure out ways to nurture yourself. That could be taking a shower and get you some nice buttery lotion and rub yourself down and make yourself feel nice and clean and moisturized. Oh, that's heaven to me. I love it. And then the final suggestion is to learn to resolve conflict and compromise from a read perspective. So you communicate, um, you communicate your distress with I statements, but resolution is a we, right? We are gonna work together. How do we find resolution? How do we move forward, right? So communicating, being assertive, and sharing your conflict or your distress is this is what's happened to me. However, the solution is we. I want to thank you all for joining Monday Night Chat tonight and having this conversation with me about attachment styles. The video will be on my page for those who didn't see the beginning. And I will be posting other articles and information about attachment styles. If you want to learn more, and you feel like you want to learn more about yourself and your attachment style and find ways for healing, you can DM me, and we can schedule some time to connect and have that conversation. I want everybody to have a wonderful night, and thanks again for joining Monday Night Chat.